You're listening to the Vacation Rental Key with T&T, the podcast for vacation rental managers by vacation rental managers. I'm Tim Cafferty, and I manage two companies, one in Virginia and one in North Carolina. And I'm one of the two T's.
And I'm the other T, Tiffany Edwards, born and raised in the vacation rental business. I help manage our family businesses from Key West all the way to Kauai.
In the next 30 minutes, we're going to give you our keys to success in the vacation rental business. We're back, and as promised, and as the title suggests, we're going to talk about your online descriptions. Now, we are in a world that all of us like direct traffic to our websites, and we're not going to talk about your direct websites on this episode, maybe sometime in the future. But all too many of us are relying on third-party OTAs. Think Airbnb and VRBO specifically. And what are you doing to make sure those listings come to you? So we've done a little analysis here, Tiffany. We have done our own research on looking at some listings, and we have 4 areas we want to cover. Number 1, bad listings. That's what you all have tuned in to hear about. Number 2, good listings. We found some really good stuff out there. We want to talk about reviews and how you can use them to your advantage. And then at the end, a wrap up to make sure you know what you should do as action after this episode. So with that said, welcome, Tiffany.
I am so excited about this, Tim. I got stuck in the Atlanta airport and did a deep dive. I love bad listings. I am so ready to chat through this, and it makes me feel it makes me feel like a much better operator after I see what else is out there.
And so we'll start with a warning. Please don't get offended. If some of this stuff applies to you, this is an opportunity for reflection, not guilt and shame. Although we may be shaming some people here today. We won't use names, but we are going to make fun of some listings because we're professional operators and we should be above this stuff. But unfortunately, we're not. So for my part, I researched my local markets, Virginia Beach and the Outer Banks. I also looked in Myrtle Beach, and I also looked in a mountain community out west in Colorado. So I got a cross section. And let me tell you, I did not have to go very far to find things that I think need correcting. How about you, Tiff?
Absolutely. Yeah, I did a cross section within Florida. I did some in Hawaii and a little in California as well. And it's really interesting because you'll see things of a super preferred host or partner, but yet you'll dive in a little bit deeper and a lot of these flaws exist, but right on the front page. And going back, you can't feel bad because there have been times where I've looked myself on our properties and I've seen a picture of a cabinet door that was a little off on the hinges. So we're not the only ones here, but it does make me giggle being able to go through them.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to dive into this bad category, but I'm going to start at the start. Almost like Tinder, right? You only have a few seconds to make that connection when the people are going through the listings. There's 300 available for the week that you chose. The lead title. That is critical. And I saw so many bad titles. First of all, here's a tip. So I've already done a search to get to your property. I know it's a 3-bedroom property because that's what I asked for in the search. Don't put 3-bedroom condo in the listing title because it's a waste of space. You only have a precious few characters in that title. We want to make sure we have the name of the property, and I hope you do have names for your property because ultimately, as operators, we want people to get the name of the house and do a reverse search. Sorry, VRBO, that's what we do. They can go to Google and search for the name of the property and come to my site directly and maybe save a fee next time. So we want to make sure the title's in there and what amenities are outstanding that make that property different than everybody else. If it has a pool, put it has a pool. If it has a rec room, that resonates with me because I have grandkids and I don't want them with me. I want them in the rec room. Put the obvious stuff that sells the property first. And we have some examples of ones that didn't do that.
Yeah, and I'll say that a lot of your titles too, I think people try to be cute, but it's misleading. One of those examples for me was free beach. I'm not sure what they were trying to mean, if they meant beach chairs, if they meant the beach access is free, you get to step on the beach for free, or I don't know if they just wanted to have free and beach be populated throughout. I don't know what the intention was. It was extremely misleading. There was another one too that I know from our marketplace. It referenced a neighborhood, but it was golf something, and within the title it made it seem like it was Gulf Front, but really it was in a neighborhood that had the terminology golf in it, and that person was absolutely setting themselves up for failure.
Yep. You want to expose yourself to the widest possible audience, but if there are things that make your property special, you want to do that too. So here's some bad ones. As far as the listing is concerned, on the headline, it said loft number 6. Ooh, that's one I've got to stay in. It's a loft and it's number 6. Wow.
One that made me giggle, well, actually I have two that made me giggle really hard. So Book Me Baby was the title.
Okay.
But and that was very eye-catching for me. Unfortunately, their entire summer has not been booked, and at this point,
Shocking.
in a highly desirable area. So maybe that Book Me Baby isn't necessarily working for them. And then the other one that I saw was, wow, the beach is right there.
Yeah. Good. Well, they're being creative anyway. Maybe they'll get noted because they had something different. A couple of other ones I saw as far as the headline. Retro doghouse at Sawgrass Lane. So do only dogs stay there? And what's the popularity of Sawgrass Lane? Is that on a TV show somewhere? I'm not sure I got that. Or here's a good one. Virginia Beach VRBO. Wow. As if I wasn't already searching for Virginia Beach, and I'm on the VRBO website. Now I know I've found a home. This is it. Let's see. Oh, 2 king beds, end unit number 10. I love me a unit. Man, oh man. And 2.
In case you were getting confused as to which number it was.
It's number 10.
And the reference, here's to jog your memory.
Well, here's another one on that. 9549, number 7, Sojourns Harborage, number 7. It's so popular they put the number in there twice to make sure you know this is number 7. I have no idea what Sojourns Harborage is. Is that something I'm supposed to know? Because as a searcher on VRBO, I don't necessarily know the nuances of an area that I'm going to. I know it's at the beach or it's in the mountains, but what does that mean? It doesn't speak to me.
And going along the lines of it doesn't speak to me, people get very redundant and reliant on AI for their titles. And so one of the things that I noticed that is a huge pet peeve for me is some of the words listed we see all the time. New. Well, what does really new mean? Is it new to a management company? Is it new description? Is it new bedding? Is it that you just posted it newly?
Yes.
What does new mean? And again, you're setting your guest up for an expectation that it would be newly constructed, newly renovated, new amenities, whatever their mindset is. And if you're not delivering on what that mindset is, it's a tragic use of the word, and it is way too redundant. The other thing I noticed a lot is quiet street. And what quiet street to me, Tim, means residential community, yes. Not short-term rental friendly.
Yes.
It's quiet because people are going to bed because their kids are going to school the next day, and they don't really want you in that neighborhood.
Yes. I found one too. Another one. Use spell check, folks. Cozy and quite was on a listing. Not quiet, it is quite. That was an individual property owner. It wasn't a professional, but anyway. Oh, a couple other headlines. Open now for 2026 rentals. Whoa, really? It is almost June, or 20% off Easter week. Are we already planning for next year, or have you not looked at this listing in 3 months? Probably the latter, right? So above all, look at your listings, folks. Make sure you are not creating some of these fails.
I think that it's really important. Do you set a calendar reminder for your team, or do you have an individual who goes in and basically does an audit of your listings? We like to do that because, to your point, and for me, even saying the new, you put something in there and a lot of times you start to forget because you'll focus on reviews or something else or other properties or other fires, right? And so you forget that 20% off for Easter and it's now closing in on July doesn't necessarily apply. I also love the title too, unique. Unique to me, most of the time, what that translation means is you don't really have a whole lot of bedding. There's something real unique
Yes.
about the way that this is set up. You may not get towels in the property, right? Like it's going to be a unique experience for you.
Absolutely. Speaking of wording, Logify has a blog out there. It's from 2019, but it still applies today, of 10 words never to include in your listing description. I would include your title, by the way. So I'll go down them really quickly and get your comments. On the list is unique. Every rental is unique in its own way. Show and tell, folks. Show us why it's unique. Tell us why it's unique. Another one, breathtaking. A little overused. How about this one? Nice. That's a little trite and cliche. Oh, this one's a good one. Something for everyone. Be specific about the location and the proximity to the actual attractions. That's what makes it something for everyone. Broken. I found it in there. Don't use broken. Get it fixed. Oh boy.
Or if you found broken in a title, I need you to send that to Tim and I immediately so we can review on our own.
I have to go off on a path here. I found one where a host boldly listed a rental with beautiful indoor photos while describing the front yard as bare ground, no grass, just one tree. Outside is a work in progress because our funds ran out. That's a little too honest. And there was a reason why we didn't see any exterior photos on that particular property. Well, we're going to get into photos in a minute. Let me continue on my list of 10 words never to use in your listing. Small and cozy. That says...
I have cozy on mine.
Uh-oh.
Charming.
Sorry.
Charming and cozy.
Charming is not on my list. You can continue to use that. But small and cozy to me says cramped. I'm just saying that's not for me. I think that small and cozy was the one that was also quite. So keep that in mind. Unique. You've already touched on that. Every rental is unique. Here's a good one. Must. Well, don't put expectations on the person. They must not do anything. You must do this. You must go see that. Let them just stay and relax at your property. Don't put the must on them. Another good one. World class. Unless you are describing the Louvre in Paris or an Olympic athlete, you are setting unrealistic expectations with world class. Oh, here's a good one. My friend Tim Rosolio knows this one well. Hidden gem. How many of those did you see when you look through there? The meaning is just lost. Immediately, the reader doubts you. By seeing that. The word never, even when used in a positive sense, it is a negative word, so don't use it. Another one I came across, so I'll add an 11th one to this list of 10, is a slice of paradise. I don't know. Maybe I'd be proven wrong on that one, but it just didn't strike me well. What you want to do is evoke emotions with the words, so you do have to work at this stuff. So bad listings. So let's continue on that. On another vein, we've talked about the description in general, but the headline, very important. You want to give me the hook right there because you're searching through there. But the one thing, again, back on that We are filling in blanks. And a lot of this stuff comes from our property management software. Make sure the stuff that comes through is unique and it isn't back of the house descriptions like WH6513. That means nothing to anyone. That's coming straight out of Track or Streamline or Expedia or whatever the software you use is, right? But the one thing you do have control over is your photos. And we have some epic fails on photos. I don't know, Tiffany, you deal with more condominium type rentals than I do. What is the deal of taking pictures of sofas as the lead shot? The money shot, you get one picture and that description. That's what you have to hook them. Man, if I'm looking for a sofa, I know where to go.
Tim, I've never seen so many sectionals and wicker chairs until I did this deep dive yesterday. I was at one page where every single picture, the lead picture, was a sofa. And some of them had the mirrored background. You remember like the 1990s and the condos in Florida, and they have that whole mirror wall. So it was hard not to see someone taking the picture in the reflection, but it was one of them that stood out for me. But yeah, I understand it's a cramped space. You have to be creative with your pictures. But the other side too, with some of those condos that I noticed, is the majority of your pictures then become what is available on the exterior, on the grounds. And you have more pictures for the area that are just general for the area than your actual property. And that to me, as a guest or as a consumer, and I've seen it for us, and we have our own set kind of numbers of what we want from area to our actual property, but you need to have more pictures for your property. You need to lean in and be able to have people click through and view and use it as an opportunity to escape and imagine what their trip could be. The sofa really doesn't do that for me. The local grounds and the sign of the condo complex doesn't really do that
Right.
for me.
That's the place.
So, and you make a good point. Your lead picture should be something that someone wants to stop and look at, right? It's the model money shot.
Yep. Well, and I feel for those of you that deal with mostly condos about how creative you can be. But the first one I came across was a picture of a love seat. It was the first picture. It was also the next 8 pictures, different angles of the same love seat. That's a red flag to me. Just like if it's a freestanding property, I want to see the exterior of the property somewhere in the first few shots. If you show me a toilet and then a shower and then the living room, that's a red flag. I found one that had a lead shot of a picture of a stove. That's nice. We can cook here. I had another one that had a single, twin bed. That was the money shot. Let's see what else. Oh, picture of a curio cabinet. That was sweet. Let's see. Picture of a pool, and it said on the picture, closed for renovations.
That's a good.
Okay, you're going to have them lined up on that one. Let's see. I had, again, an area shot, if it's the money shot, but it was the picture underneath a fishing pier, and all you could see was the pilings of the fishing pier. That wasn't great. Oh, man, there's so many. You got to take time. Just because you are there at the property with a camera does not mean that you should take the photo. If it's a rainy day, because I want to see light through the windows. The TVs need to have something on them, whether you put it on the Weather Channel or whether you maybe put some kind of a AI company logo on the TV or something. Make some effort. Wires hanging down from the TVs. Stage the shots. This is your one opportunity to be in connection with the guest. Do it right.
The weather is really important. I saw some with a lot of foggy windows. So meaning the AC was so low and the outside was pretty warm. And so lots of slider pictures with fog. And for one of those listings, they had 3 of the same slider that was fogged up. But I also saw some with some Halloween decorations inside. So that one was nice. Fall is upon us. Then maybe there's some seasonal decorations you could partake. But I will raise all of the ones that you just mentioned, and I will give you my number one absolute favorite. And for some people, they might like this. For me, it's a no-go. but the lead-in picture was someone's feet in a hammock. And it was just straight on feet, all 10 toes, and the top of a hammock and grass in the backyard. So
Well,
for me,
well,
I'm not stopping.
sometimes you need to be out there and see if it works. Do some A/B testing. If their calendar is full, maybe we all should put feet as our first picture. It's different, I'll give you that. Speaking of different, I did some search in the mountain area, and I need to get your opinion on this because I specifically searched for a week in June, and I got on the headline, ski in, ski out. I don't think we're skiing in late June. What are your thoughts there? Should you go back in and change the listing? Is that going to jeopardize potential future bookings for December? What's your thought there?
I think why it's so important that you have someone where this is their lane and they're constantly looking at these listings the same way. And we'll get to reviews in a minute, but the same way that they're looking at reviews, you need to be able to modify and make changes. But if you can't do that, then you need to have something else in the description, because now with the way that people are pulling things up and utilizing AI, they can pull that information up through the description. So use something a little bit more universal for your headliner, right? The other thing too, Tim, that's really important is when you have a headliner of something that's really exciting of waterfront, you need to make sure that you have your lead-in picture, or at least your second or your third, tie into that, right? So you're not scrolling through going, is this really waterfront? I'm confused. I don't really know. So making sure that that's tied in, and then going back to for AI, one of the things that I've noticed, and I never noticed it before, and I haven't done quite as much of a deep dive as I did in that Atlanta Sky Club last night and previously, but so many people are using AI to put more images in, and it's not cohesive. So you can tell that it is so AI generated based on the other pictures that you've put of your property, right? And you can tell sometimes because it's not cohesive, you can tell that you've put furniture here or made it brighter outside. And so it almost leads that I don't trust you yet because there's false advertisement right away. So if you're using AI, make sure it's very streamlined within your pictures, because they'll auto-populate all together and people will look at that. And as they scroll through, they know that that's not necessarily truthful representation.
We're droning on about the bad stuff. Believe me, we are going to get to the good ones, but I just have a few more pictures. I found a picture that said in the headline, dazzling, and it was a picture of the backyard, but it was like taken at a 45-degree angle. So it's like cattywampus. I got dizzy looking at it. Picture of an American flag. America. You can only rent here if you're from the United States. That was my lead photo. Let's see. Coffee table, picture of a coffee table. That was very attractive. And then my favorite was the picture of a woman standing on a rock wearing a bikini top with her arms out. And the headline said, spectacular views. What are you selling here? I'm not sure you're on the right website. Pictures. And again, back to the descriptions, making sure you are looking at it through the eyes of a consumer. Budget friendly. I get what you're trying to say, but when you lead with a this end up furniture picture in the background, it says that the house is going to be vacant for me. So anyway, so we talked about bad listings. We pretty much can just turn the table around and say good listings. All of those things that I said were bad, and Tiffany agreed on some, they could all be good. I saw some fantastic headlines. I'll steal one from my old friend Sarah Bradford. Headline was, Joanna Gaines would stay here. That's pretty good. That's very creative, and it made me look, right? It evokes impression with your wording. Another one, rarely available, margarita condo. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I'm a parrot head. I'm thinking flip-flops, shorts, relaxed, and it's rarely available. And truly it was. You can't see rarely available with the calendar wide open, right? But it makes me think, oh man, somebody must have canceled. I better jump on this right away. Activity, and the pictures supported that as well. They were high resolution. The lighting was just right. I could look through every window and see outside. I did not see any wires hanging down. Only picture of the living room, not a close-up on the coffee table or the sofa. No pictures of toilets. That's good. I get the idea. You want to show the whole house, but we get so much into this rote business mindset. Look at it from the eye of the consumer.
I will say, if you're not using a professional photographer, it is worth the money. They know how to take these angles. It is an investment that will prove very well for you. So if you're not doing that, you need to be doing that and making sure that they do hit those angles. So those condos, it's not just several pictures of the couch, right? But they can be creative and how it looks and really even how to set up the lighting to maximize the view or whatever the great features are. I do agree with you. Your title absolutely needs to be a headliner that someone stops and thinks, and then it moves you into those pictures that do have to coordinate to that headline. So that's really, really important. And utilize your description again to speak to the specific amenities and be as specific as possible. I saw a lot of, to your point earlier of, we ran out of money, or elevators are out. You'll be walking the stairs unknown of when it'll fix. We don't need to go into those types of descriptions, right? But I do think that it's important to say, 1 block away from this area. The bedding now is structured so well with these platforms to have your bedding taken care of. And it's really important to showcase that actual breakdown of bedding in your pictures as well. Those are really important as people think about how they're planning their trip and with who.
Absolutely. And that's an area you have total control in. So again, on the poor listings, it's old or bad photos. The descriptions are vague, brief, spelled, full of cliches. Oh, the other one we didn't touch on, the rates and the calendar, probably unmanaged. Maybe it's $150 a night across the board. And by the way, the calendar hasn't been updated. And the communication, is it slow? That's the poor side. The other side, high res and correct updated photos. By the way, what do you think is a threshold about when you should update photos? Is it every few years? Do you have a threshold where you say, okay, these photos are X old, we need new ones?
I think it really depends on the home in itself, and depending for us on how close it is to the water and how much we need to make changes in terms of renovation. So I wouldn't say that it's an annual thing, but I would say every couple of years we like to come in and refresh, but we also feel that way. So if we don't have the bedding, we have a few companies that don't have the luxurious Outer Banks blue smart bedding. We have some that do. Not everyone has agreed to that model. So if we change any of the type of the beddings or certain things, then obviously we'll make changes to those pictures. We also have our pulse a little bit on what guests are asking for and what they're wanting to see and the trends of that. So spaces where, before where we saw be leisure and areas where they could set up their computer or work from the property, making sure we showcase that. So thinking through some of those, I would say every couple of years for us, but really looking at the description, we like to add those in pretty regularly, making those changes every year.
Yep. We've had a threshold of no more than 4 years. And then of course you get the pushback from the property owner going, I love those photos. They're just fine. Well, it's not yellow anymore in that bedroom. We need updated. We have the current photos. So again, the professionally managed listings, the successful ones, have those high res and current photos. Description is scannable. That's another one. People are not going to spend a lot of time. It needs to be detailed, but it needs to be clear. Rates and calendar updated in real time, and your communication needs to be instant and responsive. So that's what makes a really good listing. So moving on to reviews, part 3 of 4, and we're going to wrap this up quickly. Reviews. Well, I have one here. The host famously claimed that a cabin had a shower. It was actually a 5-gallon bucket with a hose and a pump. And he told the guests to boil water and add it to the bucket. And he later responded in the review when the guest complained, saying, I told you it was rustic. That's probably not. You don't want to fight. When you fight with the people that give you bad reviews, it's like a pig. You get muddy and the pig enjoys it, right? It's not the way you need to go. I have a million of these, but when you point a finger, 3 more point back at you, right? Use reviews as a marketing opportunity for future guests. Apologize, agree, and act are my 3 A's. I don't care if they're wrong. Agree with them. I apologize so much you didn't have a 5-star experience like our normal guests have. We look forward to providing you a 5-star experience next time. We apologize for whatever. Just fall on your sword. People read that stuff, but they read it more for your response than they do for what was wrong.
Yeah. And Tim, we've mentioned this before on a podcast, but with AI too, you can pull together a lot of the reviews and see what is consistent. So for an example, one of our properties there was complaints about a mattress, right? We were able then to talk to the owner very easily and say, this is a concern and an issue, but then also respond falling back because we're immediate response into our reviews, but then again and say, all bedding has been updated, and address those specific items and how you're working better. So acknowledgement, but then also how you're working to make that better and the changes that you've made, if it is something that you need to own up to.
Reviews can be a powerful tool. Make sure you rate the guest as well. If you're with VRBO, this is something they've pushed for the last couple of years. If you rate the guest, you're more likely to get a positive review. I can attest to that. It has happened in spades for me. And I think the same holds true with Airbnb as well. So make sure you are using their channels to the best of your ability. So as we kind of wrap this up, we've given you a lot of information. I hope you've jotted down a few things. I hope you are not angry with me for throwing the stinky fish on the table, but I'm just reporting what I found. I encourage you to go out there and see what you find. And if you are maybe culpable, if it's cringeworthy, just make changes. Small changes can make a big change in your bookings. So with your pictures, we will make sure the lighting is good. We'll make sure it's professional. We want to make sure if you have the opportunity, maybe if it's a house, a differentiator might be a twilight photo with all the lights on in the house and the sun setting. Do something different. Oh, and don't use a formula for this. Don't go to your marketing team now and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Number 1, catchy title. Number 2, money shot. Number 3, it gets boring and rote. People can tell after a while, oh, okay, this is just, I'm one of another. And again, title, pictures, the order of the pictures, make sure you got that, the reviews, and please, no massive paragraphs. Use spell check and make sure that you have your pricing strategies down.
Yeah. And the one thing that I would add to that is that a lot of times we do audits internally through a website and then also mobile friendly, but you need to also look at specific weeks of your competitors. So go on and see what is a guest looking at, because it's not just air inventory. So are there certain things that people are doing within the market to draw attention and pull their eyes away from your properties that maybe you're not replicating that you should? So I would really suggest, or maybe that you don't, right? Some of the ones we mentioned earlier today, but I think it's important to do community comparison as well.
One thing, we don't have a news section, but something to look out for in the near future is alluded to at a conference that Tiffany and I were at about 9 months ago, and I think it's coming to fruition here soon. VRBO, for one, is going to implement a paid position or paid search option in the near future. So pay to play is coming on the third-party OTAs. So be prepared. Don't be surprised. Just telling you it's coming. All right, I think we covered it. I hope people got a few things to jot down and maybe some action items to go back and look at. And no shame, no judgment here, just information. You do with it what you wish.
Again, if you've seen something really hysterical, please brighten up our day and share it with us.
Love it. Okay, you also brighten our days if you hit a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, or give us a 5-star review on one of those podcast apps. We have some great content coming down the road. We have a couple of great guests coming up, and we are going to just keep giving you keys to professional vacation rental management here on the Vacation Rental Key with TNT. Till next time, so long, everybody.